Imagine scrolling through your social media feed and instantly understanding every emoji or abbreviation. At sea, the same principle applies. Everyone needs to speak the same language to avoid confusion and, more importantly, collisions. Rule 3 of the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea (COLRGS) is the Maritime Dictionary, ensuring that sailors, officers, and even recreational boaters all understand the same terms. This universal language is crucial because ships from all over the world with different backgrounds and languages share the same waters. Before any rules of the road can be followed, everyone must agree on what words like vessel, underway, or restricted visibility mean. Let's dive into why these definitions are the foundation of maritime safety. Rule 3 is more than just a list of technical terms. It's the starting point for every decision made on the water. Just as you need to know what ghosting or stand means in Gen Z conversations, mariners must know what counts as a vessel or a power-driven vessel. These definitions determine who has the right of way, who must take action to avoid a collision, and what lights or signals should be displayed. Without a shared understanding, chaos would reign on the sea. So before we get into the specifics, remember, Rule 3 is the foundation for safe navigation and fair play on the ocean. Ocean is vast, and ships from every corner of the globe must coexist. Rule 3 creates a universal language that everyone, from a solo sailor on a tiny yacht to the captain of a massive cargo ship, must understand. Getting these definitions wrong isn't just a technicality. It can mean the difference between a safe journey and a dangerous collision. When two ships approach each other, both captains need to instantly recognize what type of vessel they're dealing with to make the right decision. This shared vocabulary is what keeps the world's busiest waterways running smoothly. Let's start with the basics, the word vessel. According to Rule 3, a vessel includes every description of watercraft used or capable of being used as a means of transportation on water. This definition is intentionally broad. Your friend's jet ski? Vessel. A massive container ship? Vessel. Even a seaplane floating on water or a hovercraft skimming the surface counts. Many students mistakenly think vessel only refers to big ships, but even an inflatable kayak at the beach qualifies. If it floats and can carry people or cargo, it's a vessel under COLRGS. Power-driven vessel is any vessel propelled by machinery. Think of it like the difference between an electric car and a bicycle. If there's an engine or motor making it move, it's power-driven. This includes cargo ships, speedboats, ferries, cruise ships, and even small fishing boats with engines. But here's the catch: the machinery must be actively propelling the vessel. If a sailing yacht has its engine turned off, it's not power-driven. The moment the engine is on and moving the boat, it becomes a power-driven vessel, even if the sails are up. This distinction is crucial for determining right-of-way. Sailing vessel is any vessel under sail, provided that any engine on board is not being used. The key point is that the engine must be completely off, not just in neutral. If the sails are up and the engine is off, it's a sailing vessel. If the engine is running, even if not in gear, it's considered power-driven. This distinction matters because sailing vessels generally have right-of-way over power-driven vessels. So if you're out on a sailboat and want to keep your sailing vessel privileges, make sure that engine is off. Vessel engaged in fishing is any vessel fishing with nets, lines, trawls, or other apparatus that restrict maneuverability. It's not just about having fishing gear on board, it's about whether that gear makes it hard to move or turn quickly. Trawlers dragging huge nets or boats with long fishing lines qualify, but a recreational boat with a single fishing rod does not. This distinction is important because vessels engaged in fishing get special privileges. Other vessels must keep clear because they can't easily move out of the way. Seaplane is any aircraft designed to maneuver on water. When a seaplane is flying, aviation rules apply. But the moment it lands on water, it becomes a vessel under COLRGS and must follow the same rules as boats. This dual identity can be confusing, but it's important for safety. If you see a seaplane floating or taxiing on the water, treat it as a vessel. The rules change the moment it takes off or lands. Vessel not under command. NUC is a vessel that, due to exceptional circumstances like mechanical failure, cannot maneuver as required by the rules. It's not about poor planning or human error, it's about something breaking unexpectedly. For example, a ship with engine failure drifting at sea is NUC. The vessel displays 2 black balls by day or 2 red lights by night to signal this status. Other vessels must keep clear, as the NUC vessel cannot get out of the way. Vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver. RAM is a vessel that, because of the nature of her work, cannot maneuver easily. This could be a ship laying underwater cables, dredging, conducting surveys, or refueling another ship. Unlike NUC, RAM vessels are still functional but are limited by their operations. The phrase "shall include but not be limited to" means this list isn't exhaustive. Any vessel genuinely restricted by its work can claim RAM status. RAM vessels display special shapes or lights to alert others. Vessel constrained by her draft. VCD is a power-driven vessel that, because of how deep it sits in the water, is severely restricted in its ability to deviate from its course. This usually happens in shallow or narrow channels. Not every big ship is constrained by draft, only those in situations where turning off course could mean running aground. For example, a massive container ship in a narrow harbor channel is VCD, but the same ship in the open ocean is not. Term underway means a vessel is not at anchor, not made fast to the shore, and not aground. Here's the twist: a vessel can be underway even if it's not moving. If a ship is drifting in the middle of the ocean, engines off, but not anchored or aground, it's still considered underway. This definition surprises many students, but it's important because different rules apply to vessels underway versus those at anchor. Maritime terms: length means length overall LOA from the very tip of the bow to the end of the stern. Breadth is the greatest width of the vessel. Sometimes engineering students use length between perpendiculars for calculations, but for COLRGS it's always the maximum dimensions. This matters for determining which rules apply, especially in narrow channels or when displaying certain lights and shapes. Vessels are inside of one another only when they can be observed visually, meaning you can see the other ship with your eyes or binoculars. Seeing a vessel on radar or AIS doesn't count. This distinction is crucial because different rules apply when vessels are in sight versus when they're in restricted visibility. If you can see another ship's navigation lights at night, you're in sight. If you only see it on your radar, you're not. Restricted visibility means any condition where visibility is limited by fog, mist, heavy rain, snow, sandstorms, or similar causes. It's not just about fog, any weather or environmental factor that reduces how far you can see counts. Even smoke from wildfires near the coast can create restricted visibility. This matters because special rules apply. Vessels must reduce speed, use sound signals, and exercise extra caution to avoid collision. Let's put these definitions into practice. Imagine you're out sailing with the sails up, but you turn on the engine to go faster. A powerboat approaches from your right. Who gives way? The answer: you do. The moment you turn on the engine, your sailboat becomes a power-driven vessel. Power-driven vessels must give way to others on their starboard side. You can't claim sailing vessel privileges if the engine is running. Picture this: you're on a cargo ship and see a vessel ahead displaying two black balls vertically during the day. What does it mean? That vessel is not under command, Nuck. It can't maneuver due to a breakdown or other exceptional circumstance. You must keep clear as it cannot get out of your way. Recognizing these signals is vital for safe navigation and avoiding accidents. Suppose your ship's radar shows another vessel nearby, but you can't see it due to light fog. Are you in sight of one another? The answer is no. You're in a restricted visibility situation, which means different rules apply, like using sound signals and reducing speed. Visual contact is required for the in-sight rules to apply, not just electronic detection. One of the most frequent student mistakes is confusing not under command, NUC, with restricted inability to maneuver, RAM. Remember, NUC means the vessel is broken and can't move as required, while RAM means the vessel is busy with work that limits its ability to maneuver, but it's still operational. Getting this distinction right is crucial for understanding who has the right of way and what signals to look for. Another common misconception is that underway means the vessel is moving through the water. In reality, a vessel is underway as long as it's not anchored, aground, or tied to shore, even if it's completely stationary. This definition affects which lights and signals must be displayed and which rules apply. Always check the vessel's status before making assumptions. It's easy to think that a sailboat with its engine in neutral is still a sailing vessel. However, as long as the engine is on, even if not in gear, the vessel is considered power-driven. The engine must be completely off for the boat to be classified as a sailing vessel. This detail can make a big difference in who has the right of way. Not every boat with fishing gear is a vessel engaged in fishing under COLREGS. Only those with equipment that restricts maneuverability qualify for special status. A recreational boat with a fishing rod is just a regular vessel. This distinction is important because only true fishing vessels get right-of-way privileges. It's a common error to assume that any large ship is constrained by draft. In reality, a ship is only constrained if the depth or width of water severely limits its ability to maneuver. A huge vessel in the open ocean is not constrained, but the same ship in a shallow harbor channel might be. Always consider the context. Seeing another vessel on radar does not mean you are in sight of one another. Visual contact is required for certain rules to apply. Relying solely on electronics can lead to dangerous misunderstandings, especially in restricted visibility. Always confirm with your eyes when possible. Students often forget that phrases like "shall include but not be limited to" mean the lists in Rule 3 are not exhaustive. If a vessel's situation fits the description, it counts, even if it's not specifically listed. This flexibility ensures that new types of vessels or operations are covered by the rules. You might wonder why these definitions matter if you're not planning to become a ship captain. The truth is, maritime rules affect everyone, from shipping logistics and maritime law to port management and marine insurance. Even recreational boaters need to know these terms. Plus, about 90% of everything you buy online travels by ship, following these exact rules. Understanding COLREGS is understanding how global commerce stays safe and efficient. Maritime trade is the backbone of global commerce. Your phone, clothes, and even your favorite gaming console likely arrived by ship. These vessels navigate safely thanks to the definitions and rules set out in COLREGS. By understanding Rule 3, you're not just learning technical jargon, you're gaining insight into how the world's goods move safely from port to port. Rule 3 might seem like a list of dry definitions, but it's actually the Rosetta Stone of maritime safety. Every other rule in COLREGS builds on these definitions. If you misunderstand them, you'll struggle with all the other rules about lights, signals, and right of way. Mastering Rule 3 is the first step to thinking like a mariner and ensuring safety at sea. Key takeaway from Rule 3 is that context matters. A vessel's classification can change based on what it's doing and how it's moving. For example, a yacht can be a sailing vessel one minute and a power-driven vessel the next, simply by turning on its engine. Understanding these nuances is essential for safe navigation and effective communication on the water. Let's revisit the yacht example. If you're sailing with the engine off, you're a sailing vessel. Turn the engine on and you instantly become a power-driven vessel even if the sails are still up. This change affects who must give way and what signals you must display. Always be aware of your vessel's current status to avoid confusion and potential accidents. Imagine you're on a fishing boat with nets spread out, making it hard to maneuver. In this case, you're a vessel engaged in fishing and have special privileges under COLREGS, But if you're just trolling a single line, you're not considered engaged in fishing for these rules. Knowing the difference helps prevent misuse of right-of-way privileges and keeps everyone safe. Picture a massive container ship entering a narrow harbor channel. The water is only slightly deeper than the ship's draft, so it must stay in the channel to avoid running aground. Here, the ship is constrained by draft and other vessels must give way, but once it's back in the open ocean, it's no longer constrained. Always assess the situation before making assumptions. Think of a vessel constrained by draft like driving a monster truck. On a wide highway, you can change lanes freely, but in a narrow tunnel where you barely fit, you can't deviate from your path. The same applies to ships in shallow or narrow waters. They must stick to the safe channel and other vessels need to give way. A seaplane floating on water is a vessel under COLREGS, but once it takes off, it's governed by aviation rules. This dual status can be confusing, but it's essential for safety. Always check whether the seaplane is on the water or in the air before deciding which rules apply. When a vessel is not under command, it displays 2 black balls by day or 2 red lights by night. These signals are a clear message to other ships: I can't maneuver, stay clear. Recognizing these signals quickly can prevent dangerous situations and ensure everyone's safety on the water. A vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver displays special shapes or lights, typically a ball diamond ball shape by day or red-white-red lights by night. These signals let other vessels know to give extra space, as the ram vessel can't easily change course or speed due to its work. Vessels engaged in fishing display special shapes or lights to indicate their status. For example, 2 cones with their apexes together by day or red over white lights by night. These signals help other vessels recognize fishing operations and give them the space they need to operate safely. In restricted visibility, vessels must use sound signals like blasts on the horn to alert others to their presence. Navigation lights become even more important as visual contact is limited. These precautions help prevent collisions when you can't rely on sight alone. A vessel underway displays navigation lights, while a vessel at anchor shows anchor lights. Recognizing these signals helps mariners determine the status of nearby vessels, which is essential for safe navigation, especially at night or in crowded waters. At night, being in sight of one another often means seeing another vessel's navigation lights. If you can see these lights with your eyes, you're in sight. If you only see a blip on radar, you're not. This distinction affects which rules you must follow and how you communicate with other vessels. When measuring a vessel's length and breadth for COLREGS, always use the maximum dimensions. This includes anything sticking out from the bow or stern. Accurate measurements are important for determining which rules apply, especially in tight spaces or when displaying certain signals. Safe navigation is a team effort. Every crew member, from the captain to the lookout, must understand and apply the definitions in Rule 3. Clear communication and shared understanding prevent accidents and keep everyone safe, no matter the size of the vessel. The maritime world is a global community. Ships from every nation follow the same rules thanks to COLREGS. This shared framework allows for safe, efficient, and fair navigation across the world's oceans, connecting people and goods everywhere. Understanding Rule 3 isn't just about memorizing definitions, it's about thinking like a mariner. Context, awareness, and adaptability are key. A vessel's status can change in an instant, and knowing how to interpret these changes keeps everyone safe. Whether you're on a ship, a yacht, or just watching from the shore, you'll now see the ocean with new eyes. Rule 3 is the foundation of maritime safety. It defines the language that keeps ships from colliding and ensures smooth operations at sea. By understanding these definitions, you're not just preparing for exams, you're gaining the mindset needed for safe and effective navigation. Next time you see a ship or boat, you'll know exactly what it is and why it's moving the way it does. That's the power of Rule 3.